2026, the rebound to the dumpster fire that was 2025. Here is hoping. Welcome back to the podcast for another year. Really excited. I think this is our 4th year now. I can't really remember, but I mean, last year, myself, the collective, the podcast all kind of went off the rails. Nothing really went to plan. And it was such a collective burning down. So I'm so happy to be in a new year. Gregorian calendar speaking, we don't hit that new year point and that new year energy until the lunar new year or the Chinese zodiac time. So, when we go into that beautiful Aries season, and next month in February, we have the Chinese New Year where the energy shifts in terms of the shedding is over, the year of the snake, and we move into that fire horse year. Keep your eyes peeled on the podcast because in a few weeks I have a amazing Chinese astrology expert coming on to talk us through how to navigate the year of the horse, and I think that's going to be really interesting for all of us. But 2026 is also a 1 year, and next week on the podcast I have the most beautiful numerologist based in New South Wales. So she's an Aussie, and she's going to talk us through like what a 1 year really entails, what does it mean to start a whole new 9-year cycle. So if you're feeling like ready to go and you've shedded a lot and you're ready to dive in, I am right there with you, but not quite yet. Oh my gosh, has anyone else felt starting January's been like a slog? It definitely still feels like I'm walking through mud like it did most of 2025, but I do have that, I guess, that glimmer, that little bit of lightness in my step, that hope, because I realize that like it's almost go time, energetically speaking, i.e. the winds will be behind our sails in terms of pushing us forward into really being active sovereigns of our own destiny, to put it in our hands, to create it. And I think we're going to have a lot more energy and just a lot more maybe alignment in order to do that. So for this first episode of the year, I just want to catch up and just to share with you how I'm approaching personally 2026 and my intentions for it. And of course, this is what I considered under our first new moon of 2026, which was the new moon in Capricorn. And it wasn't really a moon that I was ready for, because if you're a moon member, you will know it was a really different energy in Capricorn. We've been sitting in this really Capricornian energy for so long that's been all about the collective consumerism, capitalism side of Capricorn, because Pluto has been in Capricorn for so long. Now we know Pluto is shifted into Aquarius, which marks a new era. We did a lot of episodes on that. We've talked a lot about that on our socials. So we've been in this new era for a while, but we haven't had a new moon in Capricorn where Pluto hasn't been, fueling that Capricornian energy. So it was a good opportunity to look at and to harness that Capricornian archetype in its deeper sense, because we often feel like Capricorn is that energy where you push forward, you go for the goal at all costs. But actually Capricorn has a deeper side. It's really, I guess, anchored in deep integrity. And I think that deep integrity going forward in 2026 is something that we're all going to really need to hold on to. If it's something that you haven't cultivated, we spent literally the last year on the Moon membership talking about, and maybe even the year before, talking about sovereignty, talking about cultivating and understanding our values and who we are and what that really means to stay in integrity with it, to build that self-knowledge up so that when the going gets tough in terms of when we're actually accountable to it, which will start to be as the energy moves forward in 2026, that we really are able to do that and to stay in integrity with what is important to us and what is right for us, regardless of what the systems are telling us, regardless of what society is telling us. And are we willing maybe to go it alone a little bit against systems, not to swim upstream, but to actually jump into a whole new one? And I think that's what's exciting about 2026. And it was during my new moon ritual that I was thinking, okay, so what intentions do I want to set? And the guidance I got that I shared with the moon members was all about setting an intention for internal safety and security, because I don't think we can navigate the new energetic waters unless we feel really safe internally. And how to build that, obviously I taught that on the moon membership. So it's really important to learn how to build a sense of internal safety through deep knowledge and deep, I think, passion and connection to what is important to you, to what you do value, and to allow that to change, because quite frankly, it has changed. And when I say build that internal safety so we can navigate choppy waters, I don't mean that the waters are dangerous. I mean that the waters are totally brand new in 2026. Astrologically speaking, which is, a huge energetic imprint on the earth. I think lots of people think astrology, if anyone ever tells you astrology is woo-woo, you just need to point them to history. Astrology is patterning, and the patterning is so clear. We're having a lot of, we're having a monumental shift of energy in 2026. It is a 1 year numerologically speaking. We're in that fire horse energy, but all major outerlying planets except Pluto are changing signs in 2026. Huge. This is a collective reset, but individually we're part of that collective. So how do we navigate that for ourselves so that we are the best for everybody else, and we're moving things along rather than getting stuck in all the noise and the mud of like what we're hearing now with geopolitics and everything that's going on. Like it's intense now because we are on the precipice of a shift. And when you know that things are changing, the idea of holding on to the way things were, the way things used to be, how it has worked in the past is so tempting, because in some ways that patterning seems reassuring because we think we know how it's going to work out. But I think the major idea this year is that we don't know what it's like to be in these waters, because no one walking this earth has ever traversed them, sailed them, used the wind of the energetic currents to their advantage. But that is what I'm personally aiming to do this year, and obviously I'll keep you abreast of everything I can via socials, via this podcast, just so we can have fun with this energy. I mean, aren't you ready for a little bit of fun? I know I certainly am after the last few years. Very grateful for them and the lessons. I don't think I'll be able to really digest a lot of the lessons fully until I have a little bit more hindsight, but definitely very grateful for the struggle and the slowing down that it actually did give me. And I always think about that Sagittarius archetype of pulling back that bow, and you've got to create a lot of tension. You've got to pull back quite a lot to effortlessly let it go, and hope that in that pulling back you were very discerning and very patient with aiming at your target. And that's how I'm choosing to see the last few years. It was a pulling back to launch forward to where. I think that's the mystery. I don't know. I actually don't know. And I think that is the theme of my 2026. If you've been following along with me for a while, you will know that I do not set New Year's intentions. I really don't subscribe to the new year in terms of the Gregorian calendar. I much prefer to flow with nature, because we are part of it, and when we are not flowing with it, we are going against our nature and wondering why life is so hard. But when we flow with the currents of nature, with the seasons, with the cycles of the moon, especially as a woman, the moon governs our emotional self. As women, we are on the same literal physical cycle as the moon in terms of our reproductive cycle. So that is how I prefer to flow with it. So I do not set intentions, but what I do like to do is kind of come up with a theme or a word for this year. And I think that this one is really going to help me tether myself to that inner security when the waters and the energetic currents that we are traversing are going to be so unfamiliar. Basically, hate to break it to you, but no one will know what they're doing. And that's exciting. That isn't scary to me. That's really exciting. And one of my favorite quotes, I think it was Wayne Dyer, could be wrong, but one of my favorite quotes is, when nothing is certain, everything is possible. And I share that with you because hopefully that's something that you can hold on to when you're not sure of your next step. You don't know how it's going to work out. You don't know if you want the dream that you used to dream for yourself. You don't know after years of pouring yourself into one goal whether that is the ideal for you anymore. When nothing is certain, everything is possible. And we're sitting in this realm of possibility with our nodes at the moment, the North Node being in Pisces. So where are we going? We're heading towards a new dream. Pisces is intuitive, it's the dreamer. So we've been thinking about this for the last, I'm going to say 6 months, probably longer, where the North Node is like that direction of where we're going. Well, we're creating, we're heading into a new dream. Like I say, it's a collective reset this year energetically. Things are changing massively, yes, on structural and collective levels, but internally within. And so the biggest question is like, will you allow yourself to change? Will you allow yourself to maybe release or relinquish the dreams that you want to hold really close and maybe poured your heart and soul into? Because another dream is beckoning you, another dream is calling your name that feels more aligned, more expansive, and more authentic to who you are now, as opposed to who you were when you dreamed the dream before. But the South Node, our past, has been in Pisces, so it's been drawing us back into the structures, the habits, the daily routines that we've had that were like, oh my gosh, do we really need to keep doing this? Do we really need to keep going over and over again? And I'll give you a really practical example of this. My health is something that I have massively struggled with for a really long time. It's not bad, it's just not great. So I've got an autoimmune disease, it makes everything in my body dumpster fire. I do one thing, it has a knock-on effect to the other, and I just feel like I'm constantly chasing my tail. It's something that I wanted to not necessarily heal, that feels too overwhelming for me, but I've wanted to manage more effectively for a really, really long time. And I think what I've learned in this first 6 or so months of these nodes is that I actually do want a new dream for my health. I do want a new dream for my body. I'm thinking about my body in a way that I've never thought about it before. Maybe before, and this is age 2, I guess, but maybe before I was much more aesthetically focused. Now I'm nourishment focused. That's all I want to think about. I just want to think about how nourished and how strong and how vibrant I can be. And because of that new dream, North Node Pisces, that I've been heading into, I've really noticed how maybe the ways in which I've approached my health and my well-being in the past are just, they're no longer working for me. They're redundant. I don't want to do it that way anymore. And so this week, start of a new year, into this new collective reset, I have approached a medical team and they are totally on board with the way I want to approach this health. In fact, that they would have absolutely prescribed the way I want to approach my health. And so I just feel like it's like this realization of the new dream. But now in, I'm going to say late July, August, the nodes will shift again. And the nodes will shift the North Node into Leo, the South Node into Aquarius. Well, this is a freaking huge energy signature. I mean, these are huge energies. Leo and Aquarius, my God, main character energy. So if you are the main character, you are the sovereign dictator, creator of your own life. If you are going to be very actively participant in the creation of your destiny, then the internal safety, security, knowing who you are, respecting who you are, loving who you are, staying true to who you are, being in deep integrity is going to be really, really important. So this leads me back to the new moon in Capricorn and kind of what I was thinking, like, how do I stay safe inside if everything else externally is going to feel uncertain? And the concept that I have come up with for 2026 is flow. And it harps back to at the end of 2025, not knowing that this was going to be my word, but actually how beautiful in terms of its alignment. I did a 4-part series on the art of detachment. And I really think that detachment has been a portal of so much pain. And maybe that's something that I can talk to you a little bit more about. Cassie and I did a massive episode on that actually at the end of last year as well, where we talked about when you don't get what you want and how painful that can be. So when you're attaching yourself to outcome and you're so focused on that, that can be very helpful to a certain extent. And it was very helpful. In the age of Capricorn, when Pluto was there, it was all about achieve, get the next step. It's not like that anymore. Like, it's just not going to work out like that anymore. And so the safest thing I can actually do is detach, or in my word, is to flow. Because true security, and I'm like referring to my little notes here in my moon journal, I keep all my new moon intentions and full moon releases in here so I can refer back to. But the idea is that safety internally isn't something I need to earn. I don't need to work hard for safety. You know, we are programmed, right? We have to really work hard for safety externally. We have to work hard to earn money. We have to work hard in our relationships because they will give us all this safety and security. But what if we don't? Like, what if we don't have to work so hard to be so safe? In fact, we have to work really respectfully, really intuitively, in deep integrity with the truth of who we are, whilst also maintaining high, creative and exciting expectations of ourselves, of who we would like to flow into, the next versions and expressions of ourselves. And I think to do that, our inner foundations must be clear. They must be steady, but they must be malleable so that they can be relied upon. I'm literally reading from my words here as I was writing my diary, but I've written, flow is about allowing myself to be supported by what is easy whilst expanding into what is new. And I think a lot of people do ask me this question, you know, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? And I think a big indicator to purpose and whether you're on it, on the right track, all the things, is it easy? What I do for work is easy for me. It's so easy for me. I find it very awkward and uncomfortable trying to explain how I do it to people because I don't really know. It just comes easy to me. Now, do I put in a hell of a lot of work behind the scenes on myself and my space and the content that I put out there? Yeah, that's hard work for sure. But it's kind of easy at the same time too. Definitely compared to other paths that I've walked where I've had to work really, 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 really hard and it hasn't been easy. Have I got results? Yeah, because I have that Capricornian spirit of dedication and discipline and all those things. But like with that health example, I want it to be nourishing. I want it not to be easy as in not challenging, but I don't want to have to be so focused on the goal that everything else becomes so rigid. There needs to be some flow in there. And I've written here in my moon journal, my security comes from the way I see myself, honor my learnings, and rely on what I have already integrated. I think there's a trap that we can all fall into where there's constant self-improvement, constant evolving. And on one hand, that's true. We are constantly evolving and hopefully constantly improving, but it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to become our whole lives. We don't have to adopt things that don't feel right to us. In all these like biohacking and I don't know, I've got to stand on my head and meditate or something, you know what I mean. But what feels easy to me, what feels nourishing, what have I already integrated that I don't need to keep flogging myself with? And I can have fun and I can be playful with the things that I want to explore. To flow is to respect my phases, cycles, desires, and needs. I am not going with the flow. I am the flow. The current through which life, love, experiences, and purpose runs. So my intentions for this new moon, gosh, I've never shared my new moon or moon stuff so intimately. So peek inside my heart for you guys. And so my intentions for this new moon was I intend to choose faith in myself, integrity with myself, peace for myself, and love as myself. So as we walk into 2026, I would so love to know how you're feeling. And what are your desires for yourself this year? Not materialistically, energetically. And I want to stress that this is not a time to be like, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this. Do we want those things? Sure, of course. But the only way to get to them is through our frequency, is through our energetic signaling. So I'm throwing it over to you. Energetically, what is it that you dream for yourself this year? What is it that you are really allowing yourself to cultivate as we walk through a year of a collective reset? And as always, I cannot wait to walk through it with you, whether it be here on the podcast, whether you're listening to it or watching it on YouTube, whether we interact over on our social channels. Obviously, we're Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whether we're in the Light Path community. We have a Light Path community. I set it up on Facebook in case you guys just wanted to chat to each other. Not really a place where I would be sharing a lot, but a place where you guys could connect. So if you are looking for that kind of community, head to the Light Path community over on Facebook. But I'm really looking forward to next week's episode, so tune in on Monday when the episode drops, talking all about numerologically speaking, what a 1 year means, what it means to start with the 9-year cycle. Can't not wait for that. So until then, take care of yourselves, and I'm sending you so much love as you walk your path of hopefully what is in 2026 very illuminating, dazzling, exciting, different light.